Welcome back to FMTV. Hope you've been well. So, most religions have one creation story, whereas the Hindus have several. They believe in creation and destruction over eons of time, and these are recorded in the Vedic, Puranas, and the Brahmana texts. However, there is one that is most consistent on the net.
In the beginning, there was nothing at all. The waves of a vast dark ocean lapped on the edge of this nothingness. Then a giant cobra appears floating on the water, and the cobra is minding a guy called Lord Vishnu. He is apparently sleeping. Then the sound of Om appeared and grew louder and louder, filling the nothingness. Then Vishnu wakes up and a lotus flower grows from his belly button. The flower grows and grows and grows, and has a surprise guest appearance, Lord Brahma. Vishnu tells Brahma to get to work and create a world. Brahma calms the waters and starts to split the lotus flower into three parts: the heaven, earth, and the skies. To start with, the earth was bare, so Lord Brahma decided to create everything: plants, trees, animals, and soon the air was filled with the noise of creation. Now, the Hindus have many ways on the thinking of God. They say that there is one God, but they use different names for God when he does different things. When God creates, he is called Brahma. When God looks after the creation, he is called Vishnu. And when God destroys the creation, he is called Lord Shiva. The Vedic literature can be traced back as far as 1500 BC. The Vedas presented a multitude of gods, most of them related to natural forces such as storms, fire and wind, as part of its mythology. The meaning of the word Ayurveda gives us a clue about the Vedas' characteristics. Aya means life and Veda means science, thus life science. The ancient Hindu gods, the so-called Vedas, were scientists, bearers of high advanced knowledge about material and occult sciences. In fact, these Vedic Hindu gods sound very similar to the Anunnaki gods and the Sumerian account. For instance, when the Anunnaki came to Earth and built in Africa, then the Persian Gulf and the Mediterranean, Enlil, as discussed before, decided to give the area of the Indus Valley to his granddaughter Inanna. In the Anunnaki account, Inanna liked to roam the lands and took a liking to the people who in the upper plain of the two rivers dwelt. She was accompanied by the Igigi, also talked about in previous episodes. The Igigi followed Inanna, whom they called Ishtar, to the Indus Valley region and laid the foundation for the Indo-European culture, though the Indian inhabitants interpreted this migration as an invasion. The word Aryan seems to come from the combination of Ayer, which is life, and An, which is sky space, meaning those who live in the space. Later this would become a general label to define the descendants of the crossbreeding between the Anunnaki and the humans of that region. Also, the so-called Trimurti, the sacred Hindu triad formed by Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, is identical to the Sumerian Anunnaki triad of Anu, Enki and Enlil. Anu is the Brahma, the father, the god who rules from the sky. Enki is the Vishnu, the creator, the preserver, the life engineer, and Enlil is the Shiva, the destroyer. Vishnu's characteristics are identical of the Sumerian god Enki, the great Anunnaki genetic engineer. In the Mahabharata, a sacred text known as Sanscript, Vishnu creates men and also the Nagas, serpent beings that look more like reptile humanoids, and also the Danavas, giant humanoids very similar to the Nephilim of the Bible. Shiva matches too with Enlil. In Sanskrit literature, Shiva is depicted as the one who is eternally pure. Remembering that Enlil, Enki's brother, was the Anunnaki that hated the crossbreeding between his race and the humans, Enlil, like Shiva, is the most feared god of the Hindus. He's the one that destroyed the three cities of Asura demons. That totally assimilates with the Sodom, Gomorrah, and the Babylon Tower biblical account. The Asuras are a class of divine beings or power-seeking deities related to the more benevolent devas, much like demons and angels. Shiva is the god that provides powerful weapons to the other gods and warriors. These Vedic gods also had spaceships for transport, known as the Vimanas. There were destructive weapons that the Hindu gods used also, commonly called Brahmastra. The Brahmastra is mentioned in the Vedic war epics as a weapon of last resort and having the power of 1,000 suns. It is said the Vedic gods were thought to have nuclear bombs, which was exemplified in the story of Sodom, Gomorrah, and the Babylon Tower. The biblical account when Lot's wife was turned into a pillar of salt is consistent with a nuclear blast.
Here's another similarity between a Hindu god and an Anunnaki god, most notably the feminine side.
Kali is the Hindu goddess of death, time, and doomsday, and is often associated with sexuality and violence, but is also considered a strong mother figure and symbolic of motherly love. In most Hindu paintings, Kali is bearing several weapons and fighting enemies, as the Sumerians depicted Inanna. Last but not least is the famous Krishna. He is worshipped as the 8th avatar of the god Vishnu, and also by some as the supreme god in his own right. He is the god of compassion, tenderness, and love in Hinduism, and is one of the most popular and widely revered among Indian divinities. Another well-known god with many attributes is Lord Ganesha. Ganesha's elephant head on a humanoid body makes him easy to identify. Ganesha is widely revered as the remover of obstacles, the patron of arts and sciences, and the diva of intellect and wisdom. As we look at Lord Ganesha, could he be another diabolical creation of Enki's genetic engineering? Or perhaps the recipient of nuclear genetic contamination from his brother Enlil? Just saying. A lot of these Hindu gods have multiple limbs, a result of nuclear contamination in birth defects, like Hiroshima and Chernobyl.
So, we have Hindu gods running around making love and war with simple yet complicated stories. I say complicated because the Hindus don't believe in a one god monotheistic religion. They have multiple gods at play. And finally, for this episode regarding the Anunnaki versus the Hindu god similarity question, if the Anunnaki gods were the original blue bloods and the Hindu gods were not, then how come in all of their representations they have a blue intonation? See what you think. Leave your comments below and know that the truth will set you free.